Transitive verbs. So transitive verbs. Transitive verbs are verbs that transfer the action from the subject, the person or thing that does the action, to an object. The thing that has the action done to it. The thing that receives the action. Some examples. She ate the pie. Okay, so this verb, ate, is a transitive verb. And it transfers the action from the subject, she, to the pie. She ate the pie. So the action is transferred to an object. Subject, transitive verb, object. I love you. So love is a transitive verb. It transfers the loving from I to you. Sounds sweet, doesn't it? Okay, so now this is not an action so much, but love is a thing. It's a real thing that you feel, and when you love someone, it transfers the love, the verb from you to them. I love you. Okay. Hit. He hit me. Alright, so hit is another transitive verb, and it transfers the action from he, whoever the person is that hit me, and me. He hit me. Okay, so there's transfer there. It's a transitive verb. Now let's look at intransitive verbs. Now, intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs are verbs that don't transfer the action to an object. Normally, intransitive verbs are verbs that have to deal with movement. Movement of bodies, things, through space, through the environment. And so often, instead of taking an object, they use prepositional phrases or adverbs. Let's look at an example. They ran to school. Okay, so ran is an intransitive verb. The subject they, ran, and then we use a prepositional phrase to talk about where they ran. So they ran, we're talking about some people moving through the environment, and then we want to give more information, so we talk about the direction that they went, the place that they went. They ran to school. But to school is not an object, not in the way that a transitive verb takes an object. If I ate a hot dog, then I ate is a transitive verb. I am doing something directly to the hot dog. The hot dog is the object of my action, of the verb. In this case, there is no object. It's just talking about moving through a space. I jumped into the lake. Okay? Subject I, jumped is an intransitive verb, and it talks about the movement of me into a lake. So I jumped. Also, there's that. Intransitive verbs, they actually don't even need to put anything after them. Normally it's not clear unless you do, but simply having a subject and an intransitive verb is okay for a complete sentence. Now normally we say other things to talk about where that movement happened, but you don't need to. So I jumped into the lake. Okay? You always come late. So here we go. You is the subject. Come is the intransitive verb. And late and always both are adverbs that talk about come. They're both describing the verb, the intransitive verb, come. You always come late. Now, when I say that intransitive verbs often talk about movement through an environment or through a space, they don't always do that, or sometimes it isn't so clear. that that's what they're doing. But often enough, if you see a verb that talks about movement through space, it's probably an intransitive verb, and therefore will not take an object, a direct object, like a transitive verb. Let's look at some tricky situations where it's not clear if a verb is transitive or intransitive. So, are these verbs transitive or intransitive? Well, at first glance, run, climbed, walks, they look like intransitive verbs. But let's look again. I run a school. Well, here, run is not talking about movement through the environment, it's talking about being used the same as managing, organizing, taking care of. I run a school. Maybe I set the schedule for the teachers, and maybe I plan some of the lessons, organize the materials, and manage the overall running of the school, manage the running of the school. So in this case, it's not used the normal way you would use the word run, but is instead sort of like the verb manage. I climbed Mount Everest. Well, here climbed, that definitely talks about the action, right? So why is that being used as a transitive verb? We have a subject, we have a verb, and then it looks like an object, right? Sure, that's what it is. Well, it is. It's being used as a transitive verb. And sometimes when we're talking about an accomplishment, a feat, a task that's big and impressive, or something that we've done, we use it as a transitive verb. Like, I swam the English Channel. I climbed Mount Everest. I wrestled a bear. We're talking about us doing an action to something. Now, you could also say, I climbed to the top of Mount Everest, in which case we're talking about you moving through the environment all the way up to the top. But in this case, it's almost like I did something to Mount Everest. You know, people get to the top and they put their hands up and they say, I won, I beat Mount Everest, or they have an idea in their head like this. And in that case, they're doing something to Mount Everest. And so we use a transitive verb. She walks the dog in the morning. Okay, now this one is kind of like another way of using the verb walk. It's like she does something to the dog. It's kind of a strange use, and it can be very confusing. But maybe you could think about it as like a chore almost. I cleaned the windows, I washed the dishes, I walked the dog. It's sort of being used like a chore. Like you do something to the dog that needs to be done, you have to walk it. You grab the leash and you walk the dog. And in that case, it's being used as a transitive verb. Now these are kind of tricky, but take a look. You can grab any bit of English and open up to a paragraph and look at the verbs they're using. See if you can find which ones are transitive and which ones are intransitive. Look to see if you can see a subject, a verb, and then see if it's followed by a prepositional phrase or an adverb, in which case it's probably an intransitive verb, or see if it's followed by another noun or a pronoun. In that case, if the verb is followed by another noun or a pronoun, it's probably a transitive verb. I hope you liked this video. Please click the like button, subscribe to this channel, leave your comments in the comments section below, and share this video with anyone who you think would benefit from it. That's all for this video, and see you in the next one.